Welcome to Tanakh Talk. I'm your host, JulieTaylor, hosting from Palmer, Alaska, and broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, with another episode of Women's World with Leah Michaelson from the Holy Land of Israel. Good morning.
Good morning and a good afternoon from Israel. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I sure have missed you this week, though.
I've missed you. I mean, I know we chat, but it's just always so wonderful to see you. And you look beautiful. You're healing up so nicely. And how are you feeling?
It's been a long week battling sickness. Thank God, not the virus, but, you know. I'm on the mend. Today's a good day. So
Baruch Hashem. Well, you should have a complete refuah shlema.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So I had to start off with a couple of jokes just because, you know, it makes the mood light and happy. So
and I received a good response last week from the jokes that you told. They were just
good.
Really enjoyed by
good.
People.
Excellent. Yeah. So I was wondering what kind of shoes you think the Egyptians wore during the frog plague.
Okay. Now you got the wheels turning.
I know, right?
Right. I'm thinking, okay, well, sandals and everything, but with the what kind of shoes?
They were open-toed.
Oh my goodness.
So I thought that one was pretty cute.
That's cute.
Right.
That's very cute.
And then how many pharaohs does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Okay. I have no idea. I mean, I'm thinking one because they only like to have just the one, but...
Right. It does only take one, but the problem is he won't let it go.
Let that light bulb go.
Exactly. Okay, I did my job and made you laugh this morning.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
know it's rough. It's the struggle really is real. I know we keep talking about that, and it's 3 weeks now, I think, for most of us, going into our fourth week. And it's tough. How are things on your end?
Oh, we're just plugging away. You know, I've been holed up at my house, trying to stay busy, not go, you know, totally nuts. But
I got this twitch now, right?
I know, right? I still have 2 boys that are at home, so they've been keeping me busy. Lots of board games and playing outside, having snowman building contest and snowball fights, and we still have a lot of snow here.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm ready for spring.
Yeah. Well, we had a couple of warm days. It was really nice. And but now it's starting to cool, but that happens like right in between the seasons. And I was out walking with Master last night, and it seemed like it was misty, but it wasn't mist. I think we were having like a dust or a sandstorm a bit, and that usually happens when we're about to go into another season. That break in between with it. So, but things are continuing to happen here. Here in Israel, we are required to wear a mask and gloves when we go out of our homes, even if it's just to go 100 meters, which is 328 feet from our house.
Oh, so, just outside, not even with being around anybody? Leaving your house?
Just leaving your house. And so I had one, but my husband made me a mask.
Oh, isn't that nice? Kind of looks like a yarmulke, right?
Yeah. So it's great, actually. It's satiny, and the inside of it is linen, which, ladies, credit to Julie, because I did not know this, but linen actually is a natural antibacterial. So I have my chapstick, which is like a lavender scent. So before I go out, I'll put a little chapstick on, and I put my mask over my face so I'm protected. And during the day, I have my sunglasses. And so with the lavender scented chapstick, I'm kind of like having a little aromatherapy.
There you go.
Which is nice. It's relaxing and it helps. So, but what's hard, and I just pray whenever I'm out and I'm walking with our dog master. I have my mask on, and when I was walking out over Shabbat, and a number of times, I'm the only one wearing a mask, and no one else. I mean, maybe one other person that I saw with a mask, and I'm just praying for help, because these are the guidelines and the restrictions,
right?
And it's continuing to happen, and so much to the point now that the police are now going to be out and about and making sure that people are following the restrictions and the guidelines, and that they're not venturing more than 100 meters. So it's hard. It's the numbers are continuing to rise. I don't have exact numbers because honestly, I just didn't want to keep giving all these numbers. We know what's going on. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And Baruch Dayan Emet for all the lives that are being lost through this, and all the people that are sick. And so I'd like to dedicate our show today to all those that are sick and fighting the coronavirus, the COVID-19, that they should all have a refuah shlema and good health, and everyone should just have good health.
Amen. Yes.
So, but
we need.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we need his divine protection. Definitely.
Absolutely. We absolutely do. And may he just continue to give it. We really need Hashem in this time. And we've talked about how difficult it is. And I've had my moments. I mean, I've had some nights with lack of sleep. So sometimes I feel like I'm walking around like just in a cloud in my head. And sometimes it feels like I'm on an emotional roller coaster, and I'm sure others are experiencing that, having the ups and downs, and maybe you're going through the same thing. And ladies, it's okay. If we're having those emotional roller coaster times, it's okay. It's so normal. But what's really good in it is finding the beauty even in these times. So even when I was walking with Master, it's like, the flowers are in bloom, and Julie, I really hope spring comes for you quickly.
Oh yeah, me too. Spring fever.
Yeah, because it's stressful. We're facing an unknown. I mean, we know about the virus and the restrictions and having like some freedoms taken away. And so, I mean, we're still free. I mean, we're living in our comfortable homes. We're with our families. Most of us are. So it's the struggle's real. But we're going to get through it. We will. These times. Yeah. So, we've been talking about physicality and spirituality. And so I was thinking about that, and I was thinking the other day about archery. So, Julie, I don't know if you've ever done archery, or ladies, if any of you have done archery, but I've tried. It's really hard. And so it's, when you're taking that bow and you're pulling back on it with the arrow, and I mean just really pulling and pulling to a point, where it is released. Mm-hmm. And so for us, when we do a mitzvah, it's like we are shooting an arrow at a target. And chet would be a sin. It's a sin when we miss that target. So it's good to do those mitzvahs. So, but in thinking about pulling back the arrow and getting ready to release, and it not being easy. But when we release it, I mean, it's pulling and pulling, and the strength that it takes, it's not just in your arms, it's like coming all through your upper body. And we're seeing, and once you release it, seeing where that arrow is going. So this time that we're in with the coronavirus and all that is happening with people getting the virus and the death and the restrictions and being in isolation, everything, it's pulling at us, and it's stretching us, and it's pulling and it's pulling and it's pulling. And we're like that arrow being pulled back, waiting to be released into something new, flying forward. And so Hashem is the archer in this. So it's painful. And I know last week we talked about that there's pain in growth. So even when, we're being stretched in this time, it's difficult, but it's all for the good, because we're waiting to be released, and we're going to be coming into something new. And what that is for each of us could be something different. So last week I referred to Shabbat HaGadol. And so this past Shabbat was Shabbat HaGadol, and it was a really special Shabbat for me. And the weather warmed up, and it was actually the first time that my husband and I had sat on our mirpeset since wintertime. So it was really beautiful. And so when I talked last week, I was talking about everything that I had been through last year on Shabbat HaGadol with my physical Mitzrayim experience, and how I felt like I was set free, I was liberated, and even spiritually, again, with the physical and the spiritual. So we're coming into Passover, Baruch Hashem. And so we're finishing up with our preparations, and we're cleaning, and we're koshering utensils. And so it's right up until that time, because it's Wednesday evening. We're 2 days away. And so what's next? So we have a time now of Bedikat Chametz, which is the search for Chametz. And this is done, excuse me. My nose has a mind of its own, sorry. So we're searching for chametz, and so this is done the night before Passover, where we search for any remaining chametz, anything that has the leavening in it. And it can be a fun time with the kids. And I know for my husband and I, it's just the two of us. We have fun looking around the house. It's like we go on a search and destroy mission. So the search is done, it's using a candle, and this is done on the night, I believe I said, the night before Passover. So this will actually happen tomorrow evening. So it's done using a candle, and it cannot be a candle that's like a Havdalah candle, because that would be considered a torch. So it needs to be just a single candle, and also a feather, a wooden spoon, and a paper bag for collecting any chametz. Now, I understand not everyone may have these items, but something where you can take it and just like sweep it into a bag, or just a paper towel or something, whatever you can use if you don't have these things. Many might have the wooden spoon that they can take it and sweep it. And so it's customary to place like 10 pieces of bread around the house to be found during the search. So the bread should be wrapped in paper or some other type of wrapping that is flammable, but not silver foil, because it doesn't burn. So, and it's a good idea also to write down the locations of the hiding places. So I know there's been times when my husband has placed the pieces of the bread around the house, and we really do go on quite a search, because he's done it, but then he's gone back and he's continuing to clean and making sure everything else is done and we're ready to go. And I'm finishing up with my Passover preparation. And so sometimes you might forget. So it's fun. We have a fun time doing it. But it's good to write it down so that you know exactly where every piece of chametz is. So now, before we start our search, there's a prayer that we say. It's Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al birur chametz. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by his commandments and has commanded us concerning the removal of chametz. Once that you do that, off you go. Search for it. So then the chametz is collected and it's burned the next day. Now, because this year is different because of the time that we're in and the restrictions that we have, the rabbis have told us not to burn it, because here in Tzfat and other places around Israel, you would actually take your chametz to a place where it looked like you would have a big fire where everything's getting burnt up. For us, we usually would just take it out to our barbecue, our grill, and just burn everything. So, just a place where we could light a fire and burn it. So, but the rabbis told us not to burn it. So now we're just going to take it and throw it out. And there's also chametz that if anything's undisposed, if there's things that have to be stored away, anything that you have of chametz, then it needs to be locked up or zip tied, and then you sell it. And there's a number of places online that you can sell your chametz, and then you buy it back after. So now after you've done all of this, and you've done your best to get rid of any possible chametz, you recite what's called the Kol Chamirah, a declaration which is nullifying all unknown chametz and relinquishing it from your ownership. So you're saying all leaven or anything leavened which is in my possession, which I have neither seen nor removed, and about which I am unaware, shall be considered nullified and ownerless as the dust of the earth. So you're done. That's it. So if you happen across a crumb or something, it's considered dust, and you don't have to worry about it because you've done your best. You've done everything you possibly could. Excuse me. So the point is to make it a fun time with it. It's a joyous time because Passover is a time of remembrance and redemption. So now, once this is done, we're coming into Passover. We're all ready. Our chametz has been thrown out this year, otherwise it would have been burned, and we're all ready to go. So here in Israel, Passover is one night. So in the days of the Sanhedrin, witnesses who were trusted men would be the ones to sight the moon and then go before the Sanhedrin to tell them the moon had been sighted. Then fires would be lit from one mountain to another to let the people know. And that's how they knew, okay, it's time. So in Chutz La'aretz, which means outside of Israel, it's 2 nights. And this was instituted by the rabbis. This was due to not being able to know the exact time. So that's why you have a first night and a second night outside of Israel. So, and I know I keep saying this year is different, and it is.
It is. It really is.
It is. I keep thinking too now of the 4 questions. Why is this night different from all other nights? And it's like, this year is different for all of us. And so all of us are at home because we're all confined to our homes. And there's extended families that normally would be together, grandparents, aunts, uncles, everybody would gather together for Passover. And so this year, they're not. Usually my husband and I, we go to friends, and our friends, they have 8 kids. They have, I couldn't tell you how many grandchildren. Right. And it's like we're all squeezed into a room, and, there's 3 tables and about this much room in between each other, and it's loud and it's wonderful. It's so wonderful. It's like nobody cares how loud it is. The kids are running around in between or, up and down stairs, and they're playing, and the adults are talking, after Seder. I mean, it's a wonderful time.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful time of remembrance. So, but this year, my husband and I, it's just the two of us. So, and we're okay with that. It is what it is. And
Well,
so,
it's making a good memory too, that you can look back on and
right.
remember a special time of just you and him.
Yeah. And
So,
again, it's finding the beauty even in the midst of what we're going through.
exactly. Yep.
So, but there are going to be many people that are celebrating Passover by themselves this year.
Yeah.
And I remember I was reading on Facebook in a group that I'm in, and a young girl specifically came to Israel just for Passover. And so she came and she went right into quarantine, and that comes through to Passover. And she was really upset because she was like, I want to, I'm by myself. What am I going to do? And can I do this? And so, can we lead a Seder by ourselves? Absolutely. And for all of you that are going to be by yourselves at home, I know you're by yourself. You don't have another person, we talk about, I remember a story. I'm going to interject a story here. Go off on a little bunny trail.
Go right ahead.
Hop along here. And oh my goodness, no, that has nothing to do with the other holiday. Anyways, sorry. So, but I just remember a story of like a stormy night, and a little boy was having bad dreams, and he kept going into his father. And finally, his father said to him, "It's okay, Hashem is with you." And he says, "But I just want someone with skin on." So he just wanted another person with him. So, but I understand. I mean, I can't imagine it's, but if it was me, I'm still going to do it. But I know how difficult it can be. And ladies, just know we're all with you. We're all in this together. And you can do this. And yes, you can lead a Seder by yourself. And just to give you all some encouragement, I want to share a story with you about the Lubavitcher Rebbe and having a Passover Seder by himself. And so the Rebbe was a down-to-earth person, and together with his late wife, they led a very simple life. And I was reading a story about him having the Passover by himself, and it's a story by a Rabbi Jacobson, who's an inspirational speaker. And so this is how the story goes. This is Rabbi Jacobson telling the story. He said in 1988, the Lubavitcher Rebbe's wife died, and he was left on his own, and they had no children. She had passed away in February, and 2 months later was Pesach. Every year, the rabbi and his Rebbetzin had the Seder together, but this year he was on his own, totally by himself. Who would the Rebbe conduct the Seder with? So Rabbi Jacobson says he recalls a young boy whose name was Ari Halberstam, and who was later tragically gunned down on the Brooklyn Bridge in 1994. This little boy had approached the Rebbe after Maariv, of the afternoon prayers, on the first night of Pesach, and on behalf of his mother, invited the Rebbe to his home for the Seder. Now, Ari's family lived only a block away from 770, and I'm not sure if everybody's familiar what 770 is. It stands for 770 Eastern Parkway, which is the Chabad Lubavitch headquarters. That's where the Rebbe was in the New North. So here is little Ari inviting the Rebbe to come to his home for Seder. So the Rebbe smiles at Ari, and he shook his head, and he thanked him profusely, but told him he would be having the Seder in his private office. So Rabbi Jacobson says he was a yeshiva student at this time, so he was a first-hand witness to this story. In fact, the Rebbe's long-standing assistant, Rabbi Leibel Groner, offered to stay with the Rebbe, but the Rebbe sent him home to have the Seder with his wife and children. And so the great Lubavitcher Rebbe had the Seder on his own. Not one other person was present. He could have had his Seder with 100 people, with 1,000 people, 10,000 people. He was so well known. He was responsible for hundreds of thousands of people celebrating Passover on Seder night, anywhere from Kathmandu to Alaska, San Francisco to New Zealand. But for this time, he did the Seder on his own. He didn't need anyone else to be close to God. He didn't need adulation, adulation means excessive devotion to someone, because that's not what he was about. So the Rebbe, he sat alone and he relived the Exodus from Egypt. Now, Rabbi Jacobson was only 15 at the time, and he said that he felt sad that the Rebbe had nobody to be with for the Seder. Why didn't he invite even one person to be with him? So he said, as a true Jewish leader, the Rebbe wished to empower all those souls who need to do a Seder alone. He wanted them to know that their Seder was a powerful, meaningful, and real. Jewish history and the divine presence would dwell at their Seder, just as it does as a Seder with many people. So for all of you lovely ladies, and for even the gentlemen I know that watch our show, anybody that's going to be alone, just know that you're not alone doing a Seder, that Hashem is with you. His presence is with you.
Amen. Yes.
And that was such a beautiful story, and it really struck me for people that are alone, and even for us that it's just the two of us, or your family, just knowing that each family, that Hashem's presence is with every single person.
That's really good. That's really good. I will be alone this Passover myself, so that really speaks to me too. I appreciate you.
Oh, I'm so glad.
That's good.
I'm so glad, because you're not alone, and we're all in this together. And for our Seder, all right, so some will be doing it, you'll be doing it on your own, but you're not on your own, Julie.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I love you so much.
Oh, I love you too. Maybe we could do some Skype during this time or something.
Yeah, we will be after. Yeah, I can after.
Yeah, after.
Yeah, I know, but I can't. I wish, but we can't do like a Zoom, but definitely. So, but I want to touch on some things, for your Seder. There's a Haggadah or a Haggadah, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And so during this time, when we're coming into Passover, so we light the candles for the holiday and we say a prayer. We actually say two different prayers. So the first one, we're lighting our candles and we're just drawing that light into ourselves. And we say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik nir shel yom tov. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his commandments and commanded us to kindle the Yom Tov light. We also say what's called a Shehechianu, and it goes like this. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has granted us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this occasion. So even in this time, Hashem is sustaining us in this. Even with that arrow pulling us back, he's sustaining us in this time.
It's beautiful.
So we're sitting down to our table, our Seder table, and so I have a few elements here. We have our Seder plate. Am I holding this up high enough?
Oh yeah, it looks good. Okay. It's beautiful.
Okay, thank you so much. This Seder plate actually has been in my family since I was a little girl, so it has
special.
It is very special. I inherited it after my mother, Alabat Shalom, had passed, so it means a lot to me. And but if you don't have a Seder plate, that's okay. You can use use a plastic plate, use a napkin, whatever you have, just to put all of the different elements around, and I'll mention those also.
Yeah.
So we also have the matzah. That's a very big thing. The matzot, which is plural for matzah, which are typically covered with a cloth. So I have a couple of different ones. And so one could be square, like this, and it has 3 openings because you're going to stack 3 matzah. I can get my opening. So you have the 3. So it depends. People use different things. Some people might use like the square board style matzah, which would fit into this. Others use what's called shmura matzah, which is round. Let's see if I can find it. So I also have like a round. This is called a matzah-tash.
Okay.
So, and again, it has the 3 openings. Or for anyone keeping Sephardi minchag, which my husband and I keep Sephardi minchag. So we use what's called temeni matzah, which is Yemenite. And so that's actually soft matzah.
I don't think I've had that one.
So it's wonderful.
I bet.
Another story, I remember the first time I had it and on Passover, and I felt like I was cheating.
Right.
Because you can roll it and you can make a wrap with it. And so
so it's more consistency of like a tortilla or something like that.
Yeah, it still feels like a bread, but of course it's unleavened, and it's you can use it and wrap it, make a sandwich with it. I mean, growing up, we had like the square, and so my mother would always make us either tuna fish sandwiches or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I mean, there's a number of things you can make.
Yeah.
Pizza, it's wonderful what you can do during Chag HaMatzot. So
I like the matzah pizza, and then I sound like I'm really exotic.
It's all good.
Matzah pizza.
All good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So, but on our Seder plate, we have different elements. One is called zero, which is a shank bone, a lamb shank bone, which represents the lamb that was the special Paschal sacrifice on the eve of the Exodus from Egypt. We have beitzah, which is a roasted egg, and that represents the Korban Chagigah, the festival sacrifice that was offered at the temple in Yerushalayim. We also have what's called maror, which is the bitter herbs, which would be like horseradish, and that symbolizes the bitterness of slavery.
Right.
We have one of my absolute favorites, charosets, and that's a mixture of the apple, nuts, wine, cinnamon, and my husband will use dates. Now that represents the mortar used by the slaves to make bricks. So we also have karpus, which is usually parsley, and that represents the backbreaking work of the Jews as slaves. And the chatzeret, which would be like a second leafy vegetable, this also is the symbolism, the same as that of maror. So, I mean, it's just everything, and as you read through the Haggadah, I mean, there's just so much in there when the 4 questions are asked and talking about the different sons, and you read it and answer it for yourself, just like the Rebbe had done. And so after Passover, we have 7 days of Chag HaMatzot, which is 7 days of not eating anything with leaven, because Passover is just the one night here or the 2 nights. And so after Passover, the next day we begin the counting of the Omer. And this is a countdown, or really it's a count up, because we're starting the first day all the way up to 49 days, which leads us into Shavuot in receiving the Torah. So we're doing this in preparation. There's that word again, preparation. I think we're always continuing to prepare ourselves and work on ourselves. And so we're doing this in preparation for Shavuot. And during these days, many people use the counting of the Omer to improve their character traits, spiritual preparation. And so it's a beautiful time, all of this time of remembrance and for the redemption and being set free and receiving Torah and Baruch Hashem that we have all of this.
Yes.
And ladies, beautiful, amazing ladies, know that we're all on this journey together. We're in this together. Even when we're apart, we're still together in this.
Amen.
And so let's continue preparing and working on ourselves, physically and spiritually, as we draw closer to Hashem. And so I just want to wish all of you a Chag Pesach Sameach, a joyous Passover holiday. May it be just a meaningful time for all of you.
That's excellent. Yes. And you as well, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you. It's just, it's beautiful. Finding the beauty in all of this. It is. And I look forward to hearing of all the wonderful things at your Passover Seder. And ladies, just know that Julie and I are here for you. We would love to hear from you. Any questions you may have, or if there's anything you want us to talk about or go further into, or if you have an idea for something, we'd love to hear from you.
Right. Yeah. We want to be able to minister to all of your needs. So, send us an email or find us on Facebook and send us your questions, comments, what we can do better, what you don't like. We'll take it all, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
Good. We're working on ourselves as well.
Excellent.
And this is a fluid thing.
So do we have a little snippet of what we might be doing next week, or are we going to just kind of think about that this week? What are you thinking?
Oh, my goodness. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the Omer. Maybe we'll dive into some other things as we're going to be in the midst of Kol HaMoed, and, we'll see.
See what happens.
Some other things that we'll be discussing. So,
right. So it's a surprise.
Yeah.
It's a surprise. So you guys
surprises are wonderful.
Yep. Tune in next Monday, same time, same place, and find out what we're talking about.
Yes.
All
love
right.
you all, ladies.
Love you guys too. Have a wonderful Pesach.
תמיד כולם ביחד, חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה והכמיהה. אני אתה אתם תמיד כולם ביחד, חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה והכמיהה. חושבים דוברים לובשים בכל האופנים, זה טבעם של אנשים שונים. נזכור בסוף כולנו שותפים, חשוב תמיד להיות אנושיים. חושבים דוברים לובשים בכל